Welcome to the One Bloody Take movie podcast, where we go back in time several decades to browse the aisles of your local video store. I'm Paul.
And I'm Russ.
And today we're renting the 1990 movie Bad Girls from Mars. So get your popcorn and snow caps ready while we give you our bloody take. Bad Girls from Mars, bad movie from Fred Olen Ray. We have some stars that we know. We have Brinky Stevens, who basically at this point is a patron saint of the show, because if she doesn't show up on any given week, we have done something wrong, I assume. We have the most interesting man in the world, who was not the least bit interesting in this movie, so he must have grown into that role later in life.
Did you recognize him visually when you saw him?
I did not, and I've seen him other times too, where they pointed out, and it's without the big gruffy beard and the Dos Equis in his hand. I couldn't tell you who that guy is in the least.
When I went to his page to see what else he was in, that was the first picture that came up. And I'm like, why am I getting a Dos Equis ad where his pictures should be? And I'm like, oh no, he is the Dos Equis ad.
Right.
So I was very confused, and I even tried to see it afterwards, and I still couldn't see it.
Yeah, if you didn't say it right now, I still wouldn't know.
Yeah.
We have Don Dow, who was in Evil Toons and Blood Games. And then, of course, Fred Olen Ray enjoys making an appearance himself, much like the venerable Alfred Hitchcock used to do in his movies, even though this is not remotely a Hitchcockian movie.
Not close at all.
The movie is Bad Girls from Mars. It is mostly a movie about breasts, so the trailer and the box cover, in my opinion, are irrelevant. I know what I'm looking for when I go to get this movie, and you could just put it in a brown paper bag, and that might even make it slightly more interesting to me. Not that the cover itself is bad, but it doesn't matter. I know why I'm here. I'm here because I can't go behind the saloon doors at the Blockbuster right now and get those movies just yet, so I have to stay here and get these movies.
I did think that the trailer was almost better than the movie. I liked how the voice narrator would ask a question, and then they would use an unrelated line from the movie to answer the question. And it sort of made it interesting to me. And the other thing, I had less expectations about this movie after watching the trailer, as opposed to when I read what the movie was about. Because the movie that I read about, I don't feel like I necessarily got, but when I watched the trailer, I got this movie.
So, real quick, if I may, a movie production keeps running into trouble when actresses keep getting killed. In an attempt to get the movie completed, they just bring in a famous madam to take the lead role, is the gist of the movie. At that point, prior to the trailer, what were your expectations?
I was trying to find this movie, and I've seen it before. I thought it was called Stage Fright, but then when I went and looked up Stage Fright, that wasn't the movie that I remembered. But think of it sort of like the Spider-Man on Broadway, where stuff just keeps going wrong. So like you're on set, and then there's a accident that happens, and someone dies. This couldn't have less to do with Bad Girls from Mars. Like we got it at the beginning, and they constantly went to the studio, but they barely filmed this movie. And that's kind of what I was expecting. I was kind of expecting all the death scenes were going to happen on set during production. And maybe I just made a movie in my head that I wanted to see based on what I read. So I could be wrong, but I don't feel like I got that. I feel like we started with Bad Girls from Mars, and then we got something that drug out for about an hour in between, and then ended on the set of Bad Girls from Mars.
Are you sure it wasn't Stage Fright you were looking for?
Maybe it was, and I just didn't recognize it. I've only seen it once, but I remember liking that movie.
Late at night, a theater troupe rehearses a musical about the fictional mass murderer Night Owl, and then they get trapped in the theater, and then they start getting killed by the Night Owl.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Okay. So this movie, I think to me, the thing that they brought to the table here that made this movie unique in my eyes is that they made a terrible movie inside of a terrible movie, which is very rare and almost a feat that you would pull off in and
Yeah.
of itself is that the movie they were trying to make in the movie was terrible, and then the movie that they made about the movie they were trying to make also terrible. About the best thing that they did was try to squeeze in a little bit of the producer's adjacent sort of plot where some of them kind of just wanted the production to fail so that they could collect the insurance money, and that would be
Yes.
the better payout than the movie itself. Other than that, I'm going to be completely honest with you. After we got out of the first scene, which was them filming their movie, I really didn't understand what was happening in the rest of this movie. And I know that's a preposterous statement for such a nickel and dime movie here, but I don't know exactly why it was called Bad Girls from Mars, except for was that the movie they were making inside the movie. And I don't know. Did we get a resolution? Did we have a plot really beyond people dying?
Not really.
Why was the madam angry with the other lady? Why were they? I watched this movie 4 times in 3-minute increments, and I got nothing out of this movie at all.
I understand why, because the madam was upset with Myra because Myra used to be, I don't even want to say this, was her first sexual encounter at the age of 12. And at the time, I can't even remember his name, what the guy's name was, but he was 18 and they had sex in a garbage bin. So now she's got a kink that when she smells garbage, she can't control herself. Well, I got news for you. She wasn't able to control herself throughout the entire movie. So she's got like shit under her nose or something that she's smelling all day. Victor Bunce was the boyfriend's name. And I'm just like, why do we need to make her 12 and him 18? It's just make her, like, if she's going to be under 18, they're both 15 years old. They're both 17 years old. Whatever it is, then it's just like, okay, well, that's what kids do, whatever. But once you make him 18 and her 12, it gets weird. And there was no need to do that. And as far as
I'm not defending that choice, and I'm not saying that choice is okay. But what I'm telling you is that in the 80s, that was a much less sensitive topic and a more evidencing that it was out of her control how she stumbled upon this kink. Not that it was wrong or that it was evil, but that it was completely beyond her control that she wound up in the condition that she was in regards to the scent of garbage. But there wasn't the secondary raised eyebrow of an 18-year-old and a 12-year-old. It was just, oh yeah, that's what happens, when 12-year-olds date 18-year-olds. We've grown a lot in the last 30 some odd years societally.
Now, when I think, why isn't Pete Rose in the Hall of Fame? I think it's more along the lines of his 13-year-old girlfriend than it was his gambling problem.
Right.
So, but as far as the name of the movie is concerned, I read that I think they wanted to call this initially Emmanuel Goes to Hollywood.
Okay.
Which is sort of funny. Because I feel like Fred Olen Ray would be a big fan of both the actual Emmanuel and the Emmanuels that rip off the Emmanuel that's spelled differently. So this might have been his nod to that, and then they just changed it. And he, especially because he got Edie Williams to play Emmanuel. Edie Williams was married to Russ Meyer briefly. She was in Beyond the Valley of the Dolls, which I'm sure Fred Olen Ray has to be a huge fan of. And she was also in the Faster Pussycats video, You're So Vain. And I still do. That song's not so much, but I love Faster Pussycat. It's just, it lives in this world between like glam rock and like heavy metal. And it's not quite either to an extent. I mean, they're very glam, but it's not as poppy. And when I watched that video, the Del Rubio triplets were in that, and I completely forgot that. And I only know the Del Rubio triplets from Pee-wee's Playhouse. So I saw them, I was like, oh my, you know. So I was happy I watched the video.
Sure.
But they kept saying, and I even went through and put the closed captions on. Every time they said "Bad Girls from Mars," I would bet money that they were saying "Bat Girls from Mars." Every single time I heard "Bat Girls from Mars," and to make it worse, there's a door on the set of "Bad Girls from Mars," and there's a little bat on it. And then on the film canister, there's a Batman sticker. So I'm like, are they fucking with me? And are they really saying bat when they know they're going to call it bad? Because that is what I'm hearing. I don't know if you had a similar experience.
Yes, when they made this movie when you were 9 years old, they were making sure to screw with you for the entire auditory presentation of the movie. Absolutely.
I feel like some people do that because if I could think in advance to do it with others, I would do it to them. So I expect that someone might try to do it to me.
That's the mindset. That's the perfect mindset.
Yeah, yeah.
I would do it, so I don't see why they're not doing it. Overall, front to back, what did you think of this movie here?
I haven't seen all of Fred Olen Ray's movies, but I've seen a good portion of them, and even the ones that aren't even, you know, the ones that just have bikini in it and has nothing to do with, like, you know, any horror elements. And I will say, this was my least favorite, um, as far as that's concerned. And it's not like this was so bad that I couldn't watch it, because at some points it was very well written. They have some good jokes, some very good insights throughout it, but overall, it just felt very, very slow and sort of disjointed. Like, we start out very strong at the beginning. The opening scene on the ship, that's great, and it sort of suffers from the same thing for me for Killer Party. That's the movie I want. That is the movie I wanted to see, and that's not the movie I got. So everything after that just sort of goes downhill. Um, and I felt like it could have been stronger. And I don't want to knock her because I know she's, you know, she's quite accomplished, but I feel like that's a lot of the load that was needed to stop that from happening. Edie Williams, like, she talks slow, she walked weird. Like, there were all these just weird parts about it where I felt like she was slowing down the movie just by being in it. And even, you know, she's known for being in Russ Meyer movies. I felt like she struggled to even convey that, like in the hot tub. Like, I don't know what she was doing in there, whether she was having a seizure or what, but it wasn't enticing in any way. You know, and again, like, I don't know if that's what she was told to do or how she was told to behave, but it just seemed out of place and distracting. Did you feel that way at all?
So, I am not well versed in her catalog, so I can't speak for her acting prowess in general. But what I will tell you, and I think I'm agreeing with you pretty much here, is that you tell me this movie is called Bad Girls from Mars. You don't really give me a reason why it's called that, but you give me this character who walks weird and talks weird and acts weird. And the entire movie, I'm kind of expecting her to be a Martian that is trying to infiltrate the humans. Now that does not pan out in this movie whatsoever, but it's kind of stuck in the back of my head. And like every time she's talking and acting weird, I'm kind of writing it off as like, well, she's supposed to be like this Martian who doesn't quite know how to be a human. Now, I don't know why she's here. I don't know what she's trying to accomplish in all of this, but I'm sort of letting it all slide, going, at some point she's gonna like rip the mask off or open her shirt up and there's not gonna be breasts there or whatever
Right.
it might be, and we're gonna go, oh, she came down from Mars to screw up this production for some reason. That never happened. But to your point, she's a terrible actress because I couldn't buy into her being a human being.
Yeah, and the other thing, when I watched the Faster Pussycat video, she looked different. Like, and I went, wow, how many years apart were these? Was the video versus the movie?
26
It's the
minutes.
same. Yeah, yeah, it's the same year. So again, I'm wondering, was it the direction she was given? And like, I can't recall. I know I've had to see some of the Russ Meyer movies she was in,
Yeah.
and I just don't recall them. I haven't seen all of his movies. I've probably seen about half. So I'm sure I've seen her, and nothing ever stuck out to me that I can recall. Like, has she seen a movie script before, type of thing. But that is the feeling that I got from her here. So I almost want to say, like, she was told to do this. And if she was told to do this, why was she told to do this?
Right. Yeah, like I think that her acting in other Russ Meyer movies and such doesn't stand out to you because she's not acting weird. So
Yeah.
so on one hand, it speaks to her, not being as terrible as you think because she's doing this on purpose. But again, we're back to, but why? Why was the
Right.
decision made for her to act as if she is awkward in a human suit?
Yes. Yes.
So, I mean, beyond her, the rest of the people in this movie, when I watch these kind of movies, and this is definitely B quality movie. This is a B movie. There's no no way around it.
Yeah.
I like when they let you know that they're not taking themselves seriously. I do. I
100%.
appreciate that. I appreciate when they let you know that they kind of understand the confines that they're working in, and they're not trying to be bigger than the genre that they're occupying. However, to a certain point, I feel like I'm a person with a pretty sharp sense of humor and a dark sense of humor, and I'm willing to let the jokes take me wherever they may go. Enough with the fucking sexual double entendre for the entire friggin' movie. I get it. I understand. But Jesus Christ, relax. It doesn't have to be in every single sentence everybody utters.
And if they did it how I wanted it to be done, more on set, then it makes sense. Because you're, like you said, we're shooting that bad movie. So if we're shooting that bad movie,
right,
it's going to be loaded with them. So there's ways that you can work this into your film and not have it as bad as it was.
Yeah, like the first 5-10 minutes, it's like, okay, this is part of this dumb movie that they're making inside the movie I'm watching. And and you're right. And then when we get away from that, sure, there's still going to be some of that because there's naked women all over the place and all this and that, but just fucking relax. We get it. Everybody is just on set, high on coke, thinking about sex. We get it. But you don't have to constantly point it out. We can actually see it. Movies are a visual medium, and we can see how everyone is behaving, and we understand.
And to reference Pee Wee Herman again,
because why not?
it's a kid's show, really, and like I wasn't a kid, I was older, but I still liked it. I was young enough to enjoy it.
Right.
The double entendres in the Pee Wee show are far different because they're trying to get something past the kids that the adults are going to enjoy.
Right.
So when Flory says, "Come stand over me, Miss Yvonne," all the kid knows is that Miss Yvonne is going to go talk to Flory.
Right.
Everyone else knows Flory is going to look up her skirt.
So this is a
who are they trying to sneak this by here?
Nobody.
Nobody.
This is an R-rated movie to begin. Well, R-rated movie to begin with. This is an art form that was perfected by the Rocky and Bullwinkle show, where you watch it as a kid and there's this whole layer of laughter for you, and then you go back and watch it as an adult and you're like, holy crap, what is going on here? And you're laughing for a whole different set of reasons. these people trying this, their double entendre was really just single entendre. There was no,
Yes.
there was no cleverness to it whatsoever. Oh, look at that. That's a dick. All right. And like, that's not
Yes.
enough to make me laugh.
Once you said dick, that reminded me of my favorite one of all time. Not my favorite dick, but my
I wouldn't want to remind you of that in the middle of the show. That's for a different show.
yes, yeah. SpongeBob has an episode where they get covered in ick, and Mr. Krabs realizes Gary can clean them, so he's going to profit off of this. So he charges like $5 or $10 for the service, but on the board it says like $5 de-icking, and he's even like, "Come on up, only $5 for a de-icking," and I'm just like, wow, that is brilliant. This is in a cartoon for kids, and it's going to go over almost all of their heads.
Right.
And this is amazing.
Right. And that's great. That's great. And do that for an entire movie, and I'm good with it. It was like the hammer over the head
Yes.
of all of this. And then I sucked him dry until he was a little thing in a tube. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Fucking
Yep.
fine. Just show me the breasts and let's move on.
And speaking of that, I feel like it took more effort for them to put their clothes on than it would have been for them just to stay with their top off,
Yeah.
because of how often it happened in this movie.
Yes.
There was, even when their clothes were on, in one scene, Emmanuelle's tits are just popping out of her dress. You know, like she's just standing there, and I'm like, did they mean that, or is that just what's happening?
It's also a fascinating study I'd like to do, and just watching this movie kind of prompted it in my head. The progress over the last 30 years of breast implant technology. Every woman's breasts in this movie were U-shaped because of their implants, and now we get to today's B movies, and we have a very natural hang for these breasts. And I think that's an interesting scientific look into these movies, is to see what they looked like, how far apart they were at the time, and how much better they've gotten now, because they were awful in this movie too. Even the one thing they could have done right, which was breasts, they didn't even do that very well in this movie.
Yes, and this was made in 1990, which was right about the time where the augmentations got real weird. Where they were just like solid rocks almost.
Yeah.
So yes, science has come a long way.
This is 1990s where we start the transition, and don't ask me how I know any of this. This is where we start to transition to where Vivid Video becomes the predominant pornography purveyors in the nation. And one thing that they brought to the table was very beautiful women, model level women. So all of the other technology was drug forward with that, because they were trying to keep these beautiful women beautiful, instead of taking these women that were perhaps less than beautiful and just giving them, like you said, like just boulders on their chest. Like,
yes.
Yeah, this is boulders and an ugly face, versus what happens going forward after that. The ending of this movie, and I don't mean to jump around, but with the grenade in the mouth. How does that work exactly? Considering it was a person holding the grenade in her mouth, he's dead too, right? Like none of this worked out correctly.
Well, apparently this grenade has a delayed reaction to allow someone in a dominatrix suit, essentially in high heels, to run down the stairs or take the elevator down. I'm not sure which she chose. We didn't get to see that. We just saw she went from top floor to outside in a matter of seconds. And judging by the way she walks throughout the movie, that would be an hour trip alone. The grenade must have been covered in super glue, because Myra was unable to remove it from her mouth, even though nothing was impeding her hands or her tongue to push it out. It also had a timer, like an alarm clock, to let you know when it goes off, because I know all grenades that are used, in especially wartime, when the soldier tosses it into enemy territory, they're kind enough to have the timer go off so the soldiers know how long they have to run away from it before it goes off. So there's that. I think that's how this grenade worked.
Which I'd be okay with, except you see the hand holding it in place until just about they cut away and you see the explosion. So I don't know
Oh,
if the high heels let you teleport. I don't know how that part works. I'm not familiar with high heels in that way. But it made next to no sense to me, which was annoying again in this movie because we're not using a real grenade. So if we wanted to make the point that the grenade was stuck there and no one else was in the room, we could have just done that instead of the part where it's kind of being held there the whole time.
I think what you thought then is spot on. She's like the Great Gazoo. She was just able to, boom, there she is. So she could have been holding it there until it was about to go off, and then, just instantly teleported to another spot.
To bedrock.
Yeah, yeah.
So, in a nutshell, to me, this is a bad movie with little to no redeeming qualities, and short of our special effects, I don't know why they were okay making this movie. I even feel like for this kind of movie, they could have done so much better than they did.
Yeah, without a doubt. I in a way I felt let down almost just knowing who was in it, and who was making it. This was not their best work. And even when I say who was in it, Brink didn't do anything wrong. There, she was fine. But she's limited to the character that she has. So there wasn't a lot of positivity to take away from this.
No, I completely agree. So with that being said, thumbs down to this movie.
Yeah,
But
unfortunately.
let's talk about the things that we like to focus on, the body bags. So let's start with Terry. Terry is our first death that we get to see on screen, and it is okay.
Yeah, it's okay. I think that's the best way to describe it. It's just okay.
Which is light years, miles above what the rest of this movie is.
Yeah. And to like you mentioned earlier, this is not a serious film.
No.
So
And they
we
know
know
that.
that.
Yeah.
Yes. So normally these types of things, I'd be all up in arms like a film, the film reel can't hoist someone up in the air but it doesn't matter. Everything's a joke. Everything's not real. So it gives them license to really do whatever they want, however they want to do it. And they definitely did that.
So then we move to the second death in this movie. They do give us a couple deaths in this movie, which I did appreciate. It kind of broke up the monotony of the rest of the movie.
Yes.
But we get Ortelli. Ortelli is the next person we see die on screen. And again, okay.
Well, we only see his body parts.
Right.
So, but the reason that this is important is because earlier, I forget all their dumb names.
It's such a forgettable movie.
It's the director.
Oh,
I think TJ. I think TJ. Okay, yeah, TJ.
Mr. McMasters.
Yeah, he gets a call, and he's told that the studio needs the film prints now, and he's got to go down there. And the person that is making the call is in a mask, so obviously it's someone we know, and they say they're Ortelli. So Ortelli only dies because the killer had to make a call pretending to be Ortelli. So if TJ talks to Ortelli and say, "Hey, why'd you want the prints?" Ortelli would go, "I never wanted the prints," and then they start questioning things.
Right.
So that's the only reason Ortelli dies.
Just to shore up the plot.
Yes, it's to basically be the killer's alibi by not being able to be there,
by making it impossible for it to
yes.
be the killer.
Yeah, and I did kind of like the humor in this. They put a whole hand into a film canister which can't fit.
Not close.
And one thing this movie did, which I kind of liked and kind of didn't. I kept going back and forth on it. Every time there'd be a death or close to a death, there'd be a note, kind of like roses are red, violets are blue, and then the next thing wouldn't rhyme.
Right.
Sort of like Parks and Rec's Big Ben clock. It just can't nail it. They're almost there, but they're not there. And everyone was very self-aware of it when they read it. They even paused to deliver it to let you know it's different. And there's a blood-covered note in there, just like there were other notes at the scene. So that's something the killer keeps doing, like a calling card. And we never find out why. They don't get caught because of it. Nothing gets better or worse because of it. It's just like this little gag with every single death.
And again, for this movie, it's another component that could have been useful and could have been used like they came up with the idea and the idea is good. The execution stinks. It just stinks on all levels with this movie. And I'm mad that you made me watch it. So
I'm mad I made me watch it, because now I'm like, not that, Fred Olen Ray is making Oscar award winning movies,
no, and I don't
but he's making enjoyable movies.
Usually.
He's, I'm very happy watching one of his movies, and this just wasn't one of them.
No, it was not.
Yeah.
So moving along with our bags, next is Martine. She gets it after this. And this is another one that features a fun little poem.
Yeah, roses are red, melons are round. Don't try looking for Emmanuel because she will never be located.
It's so amusing. It's such a good little gimmick, and it's a little derivative of whatchamacallit, of Back to the Future with Biff not knowing the make like a tree and get out of here sort of stuff, which is great.
Yeah.
And there's also, and I guess it would predate this, in the Police Squad. There's an episode where there's a boxer there and he's kind of doing a Muhammad Ali riff, but all of his poems just end with "I'm gonna break your face." Like he roses are red, violets are blue. I'm gonna break your face, and like that's it. That's the whole gimmick.
Yeah.
And it's really amusing the whole time. But again, they just don't employ, like, at least twice in this movie, the poem is to be read by a person who's dead. So what is even the fun in that?
And even like the one. When Martine's dead later, we don't see it, but the killer decapitates her, puts her head in the box, and Emmanuel comes back in and finds the head. And the note goes, "When things are rough, don't let it be said that, like Martine, you lost your nerve." Now, and usually horror movies use the gimmick of, when people are missing, they don't know they're missing, and then there's like a slow reveal. Somebody's like, "Oh, there's a dead body there. There's a dead body there. There's a dead body there."
Right.
So having someone find the head is normal. Having the person find the head that already knows the person is dead doesn't make any sense.
No.
So I don't know whether they did that on purpose to sort of make fun of that scenario, or that's just what they did. I don't understand. And what led up to Martine's death is I feel like they went, "Do you think we can get two girls to wrestle half naked?" And somebody said yes. And they go, "Okay, I have two girls. Do we have a movie? Not yet. Okay, let's move forward.
Don't worry, we don't need one."
Yes. There's a lot of times in a movie I go, "This is the scene that I think inspired it. And that's why the rest of the movie sucks, because this is all they wanted to do."
Right.
And then everything else just gets filled in. I'm not saying that's what actually happened, but to me, that's what makes sense as to why the movie's so bad. This was the only thing they actually wanted to do.
I think in the 80s and the 90s especially, and I don't know enough about the industry at the time. There is a plethora of evidence that there was a whole bunch of guys with money that just wanted to see naked women, and there was a whole bunch of women who just wanted to be famous, but not necessarily for porn. But they were willing to get naked. They just weren't willing to have sex on screen, which, fine, that's up to them. And and those movies all just wind up being these B movies that we watch week over week. Like, there's a guy with like 50 grand in his pocket, and for whatever reason, and he's just like, hey, you know what would be fun? If we got these two stars that I saw in some Russ Myers movies to get naked and wrestle with each other. Yeah, let's write a movie. And then this is what we get out of that. And that's why it lacks all of this cohesion, because like you said, they started with the nude scene, and then they just radiate out from there going, we need to make it an hour and a half. And the whole hour and a half can't just be this nude scene. And then this is what we get. How many times will you show your breasts for $12,000, and then we get exactly that many breast shots?
And the trap of that whole thing is that you don't really become famous outside of the B movie circuit.
Right.
And some of the, obviously there are some that just excel at what they do.
Sure.
And they become very, very famous within that community. And, so there are definitely, people that, own that genre. But unfortunately, if they ever had dreams to move outside of that, I don't think, and I feel like we've talked about this a little bit before, the rest of Hollywood would shun them.
Right.
So it's kind of like, oh, you did that, but some of the people in these movies can act better than the other ones, in your so-called normal film. Not a lot, but the ones that can, definitely excel.
I think so. I think so. I think you're right that there are some of these B actors that are relegated, to use a soccer term, that are relegated, but could be good enough actors or actresses had they been given the opportunity, but they simply don't get the opportunity as almost a blackballing exclusionary tactic because they were willing to act in these B movies. Now, I don't know if there was ever some sort of like union type issue where these B movies get made without AFTRA and things like that, but they're definitely, especially in that time, did seem to be a hard line between what you were allowed to do and what you weren't allowed to do once you did something. Now, then again, we do occasionally run into like Kristen, what's her name, who we ran into last week, who wound up being in Sex and the City. So occasionally someone jumps and makes a full leap, but generally, and she's again a good example of this, there's a large gap of time between when she did that movie to when she shows up in the thing that actually made her famous.
Well, even Jennifer Aniston was in Leprechaun.
Right.
Why can't I think of her name? Hillary Banks. She was in Death Spa, but I know her name. I just can't think of it.
Not Hillary. Hillary or Whitney?
I think Whitney's her first. I think Whitney's her real name. I just can't think of her real name. But in Fresh Prince. So
Hillary.
You can be in these movies, but I think it depends on what type of role you have. Where like Kristen Davis, Jennifer Aniston, they're not taking off their tops.
Right.
The only one that comes to mind that I think lived very well in both worlds, and I'm sure there's more and I'm just not thinking of them, but Barbara Crampton. She was in a lot of soap operas, and I'm pretty sure her involvement in the soap operas predated like Reanimator and everything. So I think if you've already established yourself, then you can transition and into the horror movie or the B movie,
right,
and still come out unscathed because you've shown what else you can do and people take you seriously. And it doesn't matter if you're good, you're good. Like Slumber Party Massacre. That's a very well acted movie for a horror movie. Brink Stevens was in that. So you can have these types of movies and still have people at least put in an average or above average job as far as the acting is concerned.
Absolutely. I guess part of the problem obviously is always going to be the source material.
Yes.
There's only so much you can do with Slumber Party Massacre, and it may be a very good B movie, but it's still a B movie at the end of the day.
Right.
So maybe you can't show your range there, but yeah, they definitely get excluded from the opportunities more often than not. So the next bag up, Reagan was an asshole, so I killed him with a plum, and all of the rest will die unless they find my explosive. Another superb poem there, where obviously they could have just said bomb and it would have worked, but instead we have a dead Mac Reagan and another terrible poem.
And Emmanuel sees this and is upset because now she's not going to get paid.
Well, she's there for the cash, which she's made abundantly clear, so that's fine.
And it's another death we don't see. This is just done off screen. We get some blood around his neck, and he's just laying there. And this makes sense for Emmanuel to find him because she didn't know he was dead previously.
Right. That and that's part of what's happening here. This is such a small, close knit sort of group of people, but they don't seem to know that each other are dying, which is weird because we're not working long distances. We're not working in an extended period of time. We just have our friends that we're supposed to be on the set with day in and day out dying. And us not being aware that it's happening seems odd.
And especially because our first death, Terry, she was the fourth girl that died. We just pick up with Terry.
Right.
So 3 girls prior to her who were all playing her role of Tila all died.
Right. You know what? That's a great point. The whole plot of the movie is that people keep dying on set, but we don't seem to be taking that into account in a very Spinal Tap-ish kind of way. Like, we just keep hiring new drummers without ever taking into account that our drummers keep friggin' dying.
Yeah, and they were just worried about having Emmanuel come in because if she died on set, then that would be the end of the movie for some reason. Which
I also was very unclear on. Like, why would this madam's death represent something greater than any of the other deaths that happen? Like, I could understand if they brought her in because they felt like she can keep loading us up with women that no one will notice are dead, right? Like she's a madam, so she could be like a real shitty madam. But conceptually, the idea was, we'll bring her in and the deaths will stop.
And I think, though, they were upset that if she does die, then she wouldn't be able to go to the exotic car show, the gay rodeo, and if there's time, the children's hospital, which is great because it's 2 jokes in one. One, if there's time, I'll go to the children's hospital. And 2, why would a madam be going to the children's hospital? So I did like that joke.
Well, 12-year-olds aren't off limits in this movie, so she's going there to recruit.
Good point.
These kids are going to have to pay their medical bills at some point, so
they
can't all be rich families. See, I like my humor dark. So that's the end of Mac. Then we get to Myra, and poor Myra. Myra's going to die with the grenade in her mouth, which, again, I'm telling you, I'm going to go back and watch again for like the 83rd time, but someone holds that grenade in her mouth while it's blowing up. And I don't know who that is or how they got out, but that happens.
Yeah. No, it could just be, the stagehand there, the prop master just holding it in place there. I don't remember that, but I'm not saying that it didn't happen. I was probably more distracted by all the noises in that.
The noises were incredibly off-putting because they were like not consistent with what was on screen. Like, they were picking up noises from another set when they were filming this.
Well, some of the noises, if we go back to the beginning, Fred Olen Ray always has like a weird disclaimer or something like that at the start of a lot of his movies. And this one was basically like, for all you prudes out there, if something graphic is going to happen, you'll hear this noise. It was a dog toy. And then they replaced it with a siren.
That's true.
And that siren does go off at points in the movie. And it goes off towards the end of the movie when Myra and Emmanuel are fighting because Myra didn't know it was Emmanuel. You know, it's like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know it was you. And as they're fighting, the siren goes off and they become aware of the siren. So, like, Myra stops and looks up as if the siren is actually playing on the set. So, I did think that was pretty clever. You know, they've presented us with this sound warning for each time something happens, and up until this point, no one in the movie heard it, but they hear it now.
I think I think that might be the most annoying part of all this is that like there are these glimpses of very well thought out, very clever humor. Like you said, like the actors and actresses noticing the sound effects happening
Yes.
and looking around as if to look for the source for them. And then that cleverness doesn't translate through the rest of the movie. Through like the actual movie itself. Like there's these little gimmicky moments
Yes.
of cleverness, but then the movie itself never features this level of clever intelligence.
And one of the other things I really loved when we have Myra, who was, again, I forget the guy's name, who he was. Myra was originally a man, and he was the 18-year-old that slept with Emmanuel.
Yeah.
Um, so when they figure this out, the police are on the way to the factory or the warehouse, whatever it is that Myra owns, thinking that's where Emmanuel is. And there's always, you know, we talked about this before with the coroners eating. They love to make police eat in these movies, and they took it way overboard. Just at times you couldn't even hear the lieutenant because he was eating so much food. Talked about food nonstop, and on the way to the warehouse, they constantly stop for food and make. They must have made, like, we didn't see them, but they must have made like at least 6 or 7 stops.
Yeah.
And the whole time TJ is just like, guys, people's lives could be in danger. And throughout all of that, there is a empty Wonder Bread loaf on the dashboard of the police car. So that means they either just like ate a whole loaf of bread on their own, or they stopped and made and got sandwich supplies and made their own sandwiches as they were driving to the potential scene of a future crime.
You just
I
you just keep
love that.
you just keep a jar of PB in the trunk, and then you got
Yeah.
peanut butter sandwiches whenever you want on your road trip. It's cheap.
Yeah.
It's high protein. It's not a problem.
Yeah. Whoever put that Wonder Bread there, fantastic job.
The fine folks at Hostess is who put that
Yeah.
there. They put their $90 into this movie and they got their money's worth.
I prefer Stroman's to Wonder Bread, but
Hey,
you know,
everybody has their preferences.
I'll accept it for a gag.
So that's the end of Myra, and essentially that's the end of the movie at that point. After that super duper convoluted explanation about who Myra is and what she represents. But in maybe some sort of allegory, I suppose, super duper convoluted is the theme of this movie, the
Yes.
consistent and total theme of this movie. So it ends the way it began, super convoluted and confusing. So good on
And
them.
it even when it ends, they're back on the Bad Girls from Mars set, and Richard gives his lines, and they cut, and the camera operator says to the director TJ, he said exhausted instead of exalted, and he dropped a couple of his lines, and TJ's just like, what does it matter? And that is perfect, because not only is it commentary on the movie they made, it's commentary on all these things that we talk about, where they're like, didn't someone catch that? Why did they move forward with that? Because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether he gets his line wrong or right. The movie's still going to get released, and just as many people are going to go see it, because they know they're not making anything of substance that's going to elicit a crowd more than the USA Up All Night crowd,
Right.
which isn't a bad thing. It's just they know what movie they're making. So why bother? Because it doesn't matter.
Right. The person who saw this movie the most was Gilbert Gottfried.
Yeah. Although the half the movie would have to be blurred or it would be 15 minutes long.
Well, that's what they would do. It would be 15
Yeah.
minutes long with 9 hours of commercials in between.
Yeah.
All for Hostess products. So that's the movie. I mean, on one hand, the special effects and all of the kill scenes are adequate. In a more well-written movie, in a more coherent movie, they would be pretty good.
Yeah.
You know, very accepting of the budget that they had, and well displayed enough that even though the movie itself is over the top and comical, the kills don't come off as over the top in their own right. They come off as a little more grounded than the rest of the movie, even.
With the exception of the first one.
Well,
yeah,
we can take bits and pieces of it and say this is
yes.
ridiculous, but
right.
But overall, it's not played to comedic effect. I don't
Correct.
think anyway. I don't think they were trying for that.
No.
So again, good on them on that. They recognized where they were and what they're working with on those points, just not on the part where you're supposed to write a script before you film a movie, and they had not been given that memo apparently at any point in time during this movie.
No, they did, but it was probably written in a rhyme that didn't make sense.
I'll bet those rhymes made sense, and that was the part that they didn't like about it. Like somebody was trying to show off, oh, you're so smart, you with your Harvard mouth, and then they just didn't do it from there. Like they didn't make the poems make sense after that, just to prove a point.
Oh, that's a good explanation.
So by the end of the movie, as far as we know, Myra has killed about 9 people, right? Like 4 people before the movie starts, and then the killings that happen besides her own killing.
I was confused if Terry was the 4th one, or there were 4 before her, so it's 8 or 9.
All right,
yes,
call it 8. That doesn't matter to my point.
And the doctor, she killed the doctor that gave her the sex change operation because he was going to blackmail her. So she saved him the disgrace of becoming a blackmailer by killing him.
It's a very face-offish kind of plot there, where once the doctors finish the surgery, we kill them. So either way, 9 kills, 10 kills, 8 kills, wherever you want to peg this. Do you really understand her motivation?
Her motivation, as she explained, was the basic. Well, it's a bit of both. She wants to be a star.
Okay.
So, and she wasn't happy as Victor. So she decided she could be a star if she became a woman. And then she's like, as I'm dreaming of pools and Beverly Hills mansions, I noticed he had the before and after pictures of me, so I killed him. Then she didn't get to be the lead in this movie. She was a costumer, and she was also like the goddess of insemination or fertility or something like that. We didn't get to see that, but we're told that. So she's still not happy with this role, and she's getting jealous of all the girls flirting with Richard. So she just keeps killing them to get them off of Richard and hopefully be able to get the lead. She only invites Emmanuelle to the movie because she thinks she won't accept. And she believes Emmanuelle would be a good actress in Hollywood. And after she gets here and realizes she doesn't want to do it, would then just transition into wanting to be in other movies. I know that's a mouthful. I guess that makes as much sense as it's going to make, but that was her motivation, if that is a motivation. That's at least why she did the things she did.
So, okay. So killing the doctor kind of sort of makes sense because he's technically the only person who knows her secret.
Yes.
So that's fine. Once we leave that, her plan is now to kill every woman in existence until she's hired to work on the movie. Like there's
Or every woman that well, I kind of understand Terry because Richard had tricked Terry into giving him an actual blowjob on the set of the film. Um, so like because the director's man is like, you're not even in frame, and he's like, you're just acting here, and she's like, acting, and then she punches Richard. So
in the stomach.
obviously, like, he's cheating on her. He's gonna cheat on her every chance he gets. So she doesn't take that well, because she was even the one that was like, oh, there's been an accident with Terry, and then everybody goes off, and she tells Richard, Terry killed herself because of what you did. So I think she's gonna kill anybody that gets near her dreams or near her boyfriend. Although I don't understand why she killed Mac.
Yeah, I got nothing on most
Yeah.
any of it. It's not very well thought out, if we're being honest here.
She killed Martine because Martine was fighting with Emmanuel.
Right.
So she was protecting Emmanuel. She killed Ortelli because Ortelli had to be dead for no one to question why Ortelli said the things he did.
Right.
So it's sort of like, you lie about this, so you have to tell 5 more lies to cover that lie.
Sure.
And then each lie you have to tell 5 more, kind of thing. So you wind up just having to kill a whole bunch of people to keep your secret.
Yeah, this lying thing is a nightmare.
Yeah, I know.
So that's the movie. That's our bloody take on the movie. But what we're looking at here is, if you want to survive on this set beyond the obvious of don't be a woman that's fallen for Richard, how do you survive?
I mean, first, don't blackmail anybody.
Smart.
And like you said, don't try to blow Richard on set.
Right. Sure.
We don't know what the other girls.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's. I mean, I was thinking about it, and I wasn't even in the movie. I think you just basically have to give Myra what she wants, without knowing that if you don't give Myra what she wants, you might die.
But we don't know that Myra's the killer, so how do we concede to her?
Right, that's exactly it. You wouldn't know. So there's really not much that you can do to survive her, other than just get the upper hand in a fight like Emmanuel did.
All right, fair enough. And if you are Myra, besides not eating a grenade, how do you do this, what you want to do here, with more aplomb?
Well, she was very successful up until the point where she let Emmanuel in on everything. And that was part of the unmasking, so it wasn't like it was her choice necessarily. Emmanuel thought that she was Victor, so Myra could have gone on being Myra. So just don't confront Emmanuel as much as you did. Keep yourself at a safe space between anybody that might be able to figure out who you are. And if you fail to do that, don't tell that person you're going to kill them. Tell them it's all right, and then kill them when their guard is down.
Smart.
Like I think that was her biggest mistake, was basically just saying, now you know my secret, you have to die. Because I don't think Emmanuel would have killed her otherwise.
In this particular instance, do you think that Fred made the movie he had set out to make?
I basically think he just wants to make movies where there's just a bunch of tits. There was a bunch of tits. That's the movie he made. And we briefly discussed this too. I also think he probably just wanted to work with Edie Williams, and any way that he could, he was going to do that. Because I would have to imagine he's a very big Russ Myers fan. It wouldn't make sense if he wasn't. So the chance to work with somebody that you respect is probably why this movie was made.
I think from that perspective, I 100% agree with you. I don't think he made the movie he set out to make. I think he got to work with the people he was hoping to work with.
Yes.
I think he got the people naked that he was hoping to get naked. But based on having seen other Fred Olen Ray movies, and I'm not really making this comparison, so take it for what it's worth. He's very John Carpenterish for me. When he's on, he's the best of what he
Yes.
does. And in this case, it's Fred Olen Ray being a B movie director. But when he's on, there's no one better. But when he's off, he is really, really
Yeah.
off. And this was an off. So I don't know, when you're the director and you're as good as you can be at times, if being off is just like a byproduct of, we weren't really working hard at this movie, or if you were trying for something and you sit down and you go, okay, look, they can't all be home runs, but this one just seems like a hit by batter, may take first base kind of movie.
Yeah. Agreed.
You gonna watch this one again?
No, I don't have any desire to watch it again. I don't think I'm going to learn anything new, other than maybe the hand grenade situation. There's nothing else I'm going to gain from watching this again. So even if I had a small desire to be like, oh, I'm going to put this on, I would just put on a different Fred Olen Ray movie, either one I haven't seen or one I've seen and enjoyed. So I don't envision a scenario where I'm ever watching this movie again.
Yeah, I don't think I have anything to like review or catch up on or figure out with this movie. I think I just watched a bad movie, and
Yeah.
once was too many times.
And a lot of times too, even if I don't want to watch a movie again, I still might recommend it,
Right.
because I could see how someone else might enjoy it. It just didn't work for me. I don't even think I would say, hey, just give this movie a chance. It's going to be a little tough to get through, but in the end, it's at least worth it for the following few scenes or the following few pieces of dialogue.
Yeah.
Even the things that are good in it aren't enough to make me watch it again, because you can get something similar from a similar movie.
Yeah, I have no reason to recommend this to anyone.
Yeah.
I have no reason to watch it again. I guess we can talk about what would you do to fix it if you were going to fix it? Well,
if we're going to call a movie Bad Girls from Mars, just like you said, I'm expecting to see more bad girls and more Mars. If we're going to make a movie about people being killed during a production of a movie, I'm expecting to see more of that movie, which is the movie I was hoping to get. I would have all of the deaths take place during the production. So, I mean, maybe we have one or two, outside of it, and that's fine. But the set should just be rigged with accidents or, tragedies, things, like a 1 in a million chance, like the bowling ball fell off the shelf, rolled down, anything that just is rigged to kill someone. So it's almost like the production is cursed, as opposed to people are just dying when they go home type of thing. And because I feel like the more we stay on the set, the movie won't feel as slow, because we had the beginning and the end on set, and everything else I couldn't even tell you what order it was in, what the purpose of most of it was. A lot of it was just filler. And I at least feel if that filler was the Bad Girls from Mars movie, it wouldn't be so bad. And the next thing I would do, and I feel like this is my fix for almost any movie, whether I vocalize it or not.
More breasts.
Well, I don't know if we could get more in this. But even that, it was a lot of it was just weird. A lot of it was, even at the end, Emmanuel is rubbing her breast and we're just getting balloon noises. So, like it's just odd in some cases. But like I said, I think he wanted to work with Edie, so I don't think this would have happened. But you put Michelle Bauer in her role, and this is a different movie. This is, this is a completely different movie. She would be far more capable of handling this role. And it's not like he doesn't like to work with her. So I just think it was a choice that he wanted to work with Edie, because there were so many other people that would have done so much better that he works with. So that is, if I could go back in time and fix things, that is the biggest choice I would make, is we have to change out the lead actress, or give her a different role in
Okay.
this movie.
I hear you. I don't know how to save this movie. I want to keep the main actress, and I want her to be as awkward as she was. I'm gonna put a little bit of somehow background to this to where she's actually a Martian, like I had expected.
Yeah.
And we have found out at the beginning that essentially it's an evil plot to take over humanity. And the method that they're going to employ is to get her on screen. And once she's on screen, whatever her Martian capability is, she's the hypnotoad, if you will.
Yeah. Nice.
So initially she gets there and she's trying to audition for roles, and it's not working out because she's terrible at this acting thing, as we can all plainly see with our regular old human eyes. So the plot then becomes to find this one particular production that is just getting by on the skin of its teeth. Like, it's not a big Hollywood production. It's just barely financed well enough. And she slowly starts picking off people until she's the only person available to possibly be hired for this, because they don't have the money to hire anyone of any worth. Like, okay, our actress died,
Right.
but we need a replacement. Hey, that lady who happens to be walking by, let's get her. And that's how she winds up in the movie. And then, kind of tying into your idea, maybe we see like little contraptions on the set and things here and there that lead us to believe that these people they don't even have to die, right? Like, someone could fall and break their leg so severely that it would push the production back 8 weeks, and we can't afford to do that. We don't have that kind of money, that type of thing. But that's what she's doing. She's meddling with this until she's finally the desperate choice, and then she can be on the movie like the Martians have sent her to be. And, that's basically it. We're going to take the fact that she's an absolute garbage actress, and we're going to employ it to her own benefit and make us all understand why she's supposed to seem just like awkwardly inhuman.
Yeah, that would make sense.
And also, I don't know if I mentioned this before, but way less double entendre. Way less.
If you take out the double entendre, Paul, there is no script.
Okay.
There's no dialogue.
Okay. So then update. As much as it used to be, but there's going to be a little counter in the corner that every time there's double entendre, it just clicks up another number.
Now that works.
The DE counter.
The more self-aware you make it,
right,
the better it is. Oh, and one other. Were you done with that?
Yeah.
With that part? Okay. There. Speaking of self-aware, though, there was one question that I did want to ask you.
Okay.
When Emmanuel goes to Richard's house, she gets there. He's not there, but the TV is on. She looks at the TV and goes, "Boy," or she looks at the TV and then looks directly at the camera and speaks to us and goes, "Boy, is he awful." I couldn't figure out what that movie was. And I couldn't figure out, was there a relationship with her and someone in that movie? And she's commenting on the fact that she knows them. Is she commenting on a movie that she was in? Fred Olen Ray loves to have movies play that he was in. There were so many posters in this movie, like Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers,
right.
The Tomb. There's some other ones too. So all of his movies are all over his movies. I didn't recognize it as one of his movies. I have no idea why we broke the fourth wall and what that movie was. So I didn't know if you recognized it or took anything from that scene, but I was just weirded out by it and couldn't figure out what was happening.
I am with you in that I assume that you don't go out of your way like that without intent. I did not recognize the movie. My thought would be it was a Russ Meyer movie or something Russ Meyer adjacent, and that was the joke that we were all supposed to be in on. But also, this movie was made in 1990, and it is the kind of thing that, like, because we're dealing in this B movie world where these movies don't come up frequently, we may have just aged out of understanding what was happening there. So no, I did not recognize it. I assume I can dig in and figure it out for an update at some point. But no, I know it was on purpose. I don't know what the joke was.
Yeah, and because I tried Google image search, I tried typing out every line I could get, just trying to figure out what that could be. I couldn't find anything. Oh, speaking of updates on previous ones, the Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers, the Frito Lay bat.
Yes.
I can't remember the guy's name, but somebody on the message, there's a baseball card message board. I put it on asking for help. Somebody said, I think Jesse Long. I think he was one of the producers. And they're like, the name doesn't look like a baseball player. It looks like Jesse Long. And maybe I'm off on the name. And they said, he's one of the producers in the movie. So it was like he had the bat specially made.
Just for that
And
scene.
that's, yes. So I believe that mystery is solved. It was not a baseball player. It was somebody on set, and it was their personal bat that they had made
And I'm
or
I'm all
given to them.
I'm all for that. That's brilliant.
Yeah,
That is multiple layers of comedy that really only played for like the three people who knew what was happening
yeah,
and the weirdos who watched it afterwards and really wanted to investigate.
yeah. But I found that out maybe like two or three, about maybe 2 weeks ago, and I just kept forgetting to tell you.
So there's that. There's our bloody take on this movie. There's how we fix this movie. And I am sure that everyone else who has suffered through this movie has their own bloody take on it, and we'd love for you to share it with us. We are on all of the social medias. We are on Instagram, Facebook, Tumblr, Blue Sky, and Twitter. It's One Bloody Take, all one word. We're also at TikTok, _bloody_take. You can find us and the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcast, YouTube, and Substack. Just search out One Bloody Take. We're also pretty much anywhere you can find your podcasts anyway. We put out a new episode every Wednesday, and you can join us next week when we discuss 1986's The Majorettes. I'm Paul.
And I'm Russ.
And thanks for listening to our Bloody Take.